This is the Oneness Podcast, episode 42. I am Jessica Delmar. I assist in strengthening your knowledge of who you truly are as a powerful creator being during these powerfully shifting times. Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the 369 energy sequence. And what came through regarding this 369 energy sequence is it showed me its connection to different layers of the universe in this beautiful spiral of energy form. And in that sequence, it opened up three different layers, if you will, the 3 layer, the 6 layer, the 9 layer. The 3 frequency layer refers to the body, the physical form. The 6 frequency layer refers to consciousness and unconsciousness. And the 9 frequency layer refers to spirit. And diving even further into spirit, we're going to be talking about imagination and the power of imagination. So this is part 1, and let's get into it. Form is important for spirit to be recognized. Without form, spirit is unrecognizable. Imagination exists as a spirit form of consciousness. Form pulls both consciousness and imagination or spirit into recognizable form. A lower dimensional 3D form cannot fully recognize everything that exists in the field of imagination because there exists an unconscious and subconscious realm within the physical form. The unconscious and subconscious block spirit from fully being recognized in form. But because imagination exists beyond the mind in spirit, it can be accessed as imagination in the body. But because many people push imagination away, they do not fully come to recognize the power of spirit. The purpose of form is to recognize spirit. Spirit is the essence of source. It includes source knowledge, everything that exists in form and formless, in the universe and beyond the universe, all intertwined in the interwoven web of creation. When form recognizes an aspect of spirit, it can manifest the imagination of that aspect of spirit into form. There are infinite probabilities and possibilities because spirit takes on everything and anything that can possibly be imagined. The earth plane is a plane that utilizes force for nature. It conjures a physical representation of energy. It manifests energy through a form, which is human in this case, and into a bubbling energetic mixture of force entirely created by human desire. Everything that exists in the universe is also held in earth consciousness. When a form incarnates upon earth, its birthright is the ability to journey into the imagination of the universe and recognize imagination into form. However, imagination directly correlates with consciousness. The more open your consciousness field is, the more open your receptivity to imagination is. The more closed your consciousness field is, the more closed your receptivity to imagination is. The power of spiritual awakening unlocks the unconscious and subconscious fields of thought so that you can awaken what is hidden. The more that you awaken, the more you open your field of consciousness, and the more you enlighten what is unknown. Imagination begins unveiling more of itself, not as fairy tale type of imagination, but as pure knowledge and truth of the unknown. 369 is an energy sequence that the human mind has given a pattern to. The 369 energy sequence is found everywhere because it's the energy sequence of the universal body. Everything is energy, and in your physical reality, you create with said energy. The 369 energy pattern is not much different than the DNA pattern that makes up your entire being, except 369 is a sequence of energy that makes up an expanding spiral of enlightenment in the greater universal body. The number 3 represents an energy frequency that aligns with form. The number 6 represents an energy frequency that aligns with consciousness, and the number 9 represents an energy frequency that aligns with spirit. In the universe, these 3 frequencies tune together to create waves of light that manifest in different ways. It depends where in the greater universal body the energy is harmonizing. So, for example, on Earth, we are an energetic plane, much like many other areas in the universal body, but fortune allows the energy upon Earth to manifest as physical form. So in the sequence of 369, there is a powerful weight in the 3 frequency, which is form or physical form here on Earth. Spirit and consciousness flow into form, and form is the conduit for spirit and consciousness to manifest. Nikola Tesla's knowledge of energy embedded with the power of the 369 sequence because he knew that form was a conduit and that spirit and consciousness were open power sources that generated energy into form. The form must be in a specific vibrational field in order for spirit and consciousness to move through as a pure power source. If the form is lower vibrational, it's most likely that the whole form is not an optimal conduit for a greater energy source to move through. However, the mind is always hooked up to that greater universal mind. So in a lower vibrational form, spirit and consciousness power generates in a lower vibrational form through the mind as intelligence. So it showed me all of the powerful, significant figures in our history, people like Nikola Tesla, scientists, artists, musicians, mathematicians, Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, Beethoven, like so many figures in history that were just genius in whatever avenue that they were pursuing. They were basically tapping into this 369 flow of energy sequence, using their physical form as a conduit to receive that greater source, essentially generated power from consciousness and spirit into form, but through the mind. And they were able to use their physical form as a conduit to pull through that energy and manifest it or create it into form or into art or whatever. Essentially, the physical form, when vibrationally tuned, can utilize this 369 sequential energy as a pure power source. So again, if the form is lower vibrational, spirit and consciousness power generates as intelligence, able to pull forth the heart and mind of the greater universal flow. If the form is aligned to higher vibration, spirit and consciousness power generates as pure creative force in the external and internal worlds, able to manifest significant change as a force of nature itself, flowing with the pure power source of universal life force energy. Nikola Tesla was able to create forms, both living and non-living, that align to receive the flow of universal life force, not as intelligence, but as pure energy manifested through the form. How? The vibration of the form must conduct an energy signature that allures the electromagnetic pull of spirit and consciousness, meaning when the energy frequency of the form is just right, it pulls an energy of the environment into its energy field. And if the energy of the environment is just right, it enables perfect conditions for the physical form to calibrate energy flow within, and then again extend that energy flow into its environment or back out into its environment. Then it showed me the Egyptian pyramids doing this sort of thing. So the Egyptian pyramids are physical forms that both generate energy and work with their environment to calibrate powerful energy flow from spirit and consciousness into its physical form and back into the environment. Something was also telling me as I was bringing this information through in regards to the Egyptian pyramids is that more water is necessary for the Egyptian pyramids to fully calibrate with its environment, which is why its energy is bound right now. So a powerful water source is needed in the environment, in the area, and it also connected me to Atlantis rising in that region. So it's possible that there is a rising of water that is coming near that area, but water, like it needs more water to fully kind of have that just right conditions both within and without, vibrationally, frequency-wise, in order to calibrate energy and be that power source conduit. And again, it does connect with Atlantis rising in that region. So going back to 369, because we are a physical planet, there is great emphasis again on the 3 frequency or the physical form layer of the 369 sequence. Each of the layers of this sequence is kind of like its own realm, if you will. So again, the 3 frequency is the physical realm, the 6 frequency is the consciousness realm, and the 9 frequency is the spirit realm, essentially. So when we dive into each of these different layers, they utilize the energy of the other 2 layers. So for example, in the 3 frequency layer of the physical form or the physical realm, this layer depends upon consciousness. It depends upon the other 2 layers of consciousness and spirit of the 6 and the 9 to open expansion and universal life force within the realm of the physical form layer or the 3 frequency. When we dive into the 6 frequency layer or the realm of consciousness, it depends upon the other 2 layers, the 3 layer and the 9 layer, the physical form layer and the spirit layer or realm, to open expansion and universal life force within consciousness. And if we dive into the 9 frequency layer or the spirit realm, if you will, that realm also that holds imagination, it depends on the other 2 layers in the sequence, the 3 layer and the 6 layer, the physical form layer and the consciousness layer or realm, to open expansion and universal life force within this 9 frequency layer or the spirit and imagination realm layer. So 369 is a sequence of energy that unites every aspect of the universe together. It embodies within many micro and macro components and layers, uniting form, consciousness, and spirit in more ways than you can imagine. It opens new avenues, which allows source power to flow into layers of the unconscious and layers of the unknown, layers of darkness, so that source can continue to expand and enlighten. When you witness the power of 369 energy sequence from a much larger perspective, it looks like a beautiful unfolding kaleidoscope of light, energy, and pattern alternating between the different legs or realms or layers of the sequence, the 369 form, consciousness, and spirit. A magnificent symbiotic relationship that you witness literally every day in your reality through many different ways. It is energy intertwining, expanding, growing, evolving, shifting, dancing, moving, contracting, inhaling, exhaling, softening, hardening, all for the purpose of gathering information and unique perspectives of everything, everywhere, in every realm. And it all starts with you as a powerful conduit for consciousness and spirit to flow through you, expanding your vibration so that you can expand new layers of consciousness and spirit moving through you. And as you do this, the realms of consciousness and spirit experience new things through your evolving form too. It's all connected, and it all starts with you. So that's what came through for this part 1. I know it was a lot of information, but just understand that the 3, 6, and 9 energy sequence or pattern sort of exists in 3 different layers, 3 being the physical layer, 6 being the consciousness layer, and 9 being that spirit or imagination layer. So in the next episode, I will probably talk a little bit more about this because there's so much to talk about and expand upon. But before we end this episode, I do want to address a couple of listener questions today. So this first question comes from Mary Lee, and she asks, I keep hearing this term inner truth. What does this mean? It seems so vague to me. Can you explain what this phrase refers to? Thank you for your knowledge and sharing. So yes, I do refer to inner truth a lot. And I speak about inner truth and connecting with that inner truth. So let me break it down. Inner truth is the uncovering of who you truly are as you go through your process of stripping away who you are not. Inner truth is constantly evolving depending upon where you are on your journey, depending upon where you are in your healing journey and your ability to strip away all those many layers within you. And essentially stripping away those layers within you is stripping away a lot of the illusionary thoughts and programs and belief systems that were not necessarily yours, but may have come from external sources or may have been built because of that illusionary reality that you were just part of, and the attachments and the judgments, all of them built upon each other. Inner truth is different for everyone because we're all unique beings experiencing very different things for the purpose of our soul expansion. However, on the spiritual awakening journey, many of us do find similar resonance with the larger layers of our inner truths because we begin to discover similar resonance of who we truly are. I mean, at the tip of the iceberg, we are all one. But the journey to truly understanding that will take you down many different layers of inner truths or unveil many different layers of inner truths for you. And this is because you have to go through the experience and the journey of finding who you truly are. Inner truth is essentially what you believe, not dictated by outside influences, but completely knowing from an internal state of being. However, external influences do exist, such as teachers, friends, other people that you resonate with. And these types of external influences are there to help as guiding lights to get you to unveil what your inner truths are. So you're always going to have those people or messages or guides on your path that are not necessarily there to externally influence you, but are there to help guide you as a reflection of you to understand more deeply what those inner truths are. And they can even present to you as things that you are not, things that you don't resonate with, enemies, people who rub you the wrong way, things that you have resistance to, because those are all still messages and signals and guidance on your path to help you unveil further what your inner truths are by knowing what you do not want. So just know that everyone is valuable. Everything in your reality is reflecting to you as assistants and messengers to get you to unveil more layers and levels within yourself. Stay open. Do not take things so personally, and do not be so hard on yourself. Your openness, compassion, and grace for yourself on your journey, and your openness, compassion, and grace for others is what paves the road of inner truth and soul direction within you. Mary Lee, I hope that helped in explaining what inner truth is. Thank you so much for your question. This next question comes from a listener. It was a comment made on one of my videos. So the question was, if all is truly well all of the time the way that it is, what is the use of making efforts to learn and change? And I thought that this question was really good because that is my motto right on this spiritual journey, that all is truly well. And that knowing who you truly are is knowing that all is truly well. And so I want to dive a little bit more into this. All is truly well in the entirety of the universe. You must know that you are first and foremost a grand soul, an aspect of source energy, having a physical experience. So your connection to the entirety of who you truly are, which is the universe in motion, is always truly well and unfolding perfectly. But as a soul, having a physical experience, you chose to come into a minute and micro aspect of your greater beingness. And you chose to have an experience that would lead to greater understanding, knowledge, awareness, purpose, and expansion, even contraction. You asked to know yourself better, and to know yourself better, you needed to unveil unknown and dark parts of yourself. So this journey of human experience often leads people to think that all is not Well, because uncovering these unknown parts, these darker parts of themselves, is really not easy. But on a greater, grander soul level, you knew that this journey was not going to be easy. But the more and more that you connect to your soul first, which is constantly guiding you, it will unveil your divine support and how much you really are supported on your journey. And this greater support encompasses this greater universal being that you truly are and originated from. It feels like this grand embrace around you, no matter what you're doing. Efforts to learn and change is part of your greater soul having this minute experience to know itself better. It's part of playing the game, the journey, the adventure. You don't necessarily open up a board game, set up all the pieces and players and cards just to keep your player at the home space the whole entire game and not play the game. You open up the board game to play the game and to experience it and to enjoy yourself along the way. The things that are thrown at you during the game or throughout the game is what makes it exciting and challenging and adventurous. You are given this opportunity to have this adventure to benefit the expanding version of you, connected to the greater universe. Many things are going to pop up in your journey that's going to encourage desire, resistance, learning, and change. And each opportunity that comes your way allows you to shape your experience in the world that you exist in. You are here, so might as well make the most of it, right? Might as well truly play a part in your journey and your adventure and feel your way through it and fully experience it. Knowing that all is truly well is knowing that you are fully and completely supported and guided in each of your decisions and in every experience and situation that you go through, whether good or bad. And in the greater picture, all is truly well, and you are exactly where you need to be. No matter where you are, always hook up with the energy flow that is consistently and constantly guiding and supporting you, aligning you with your intentions, and you will find yourself on, or back on if you stray away from, the paved path of your journey. Thank you so much to the person who asked that question. I hope that was helpful in understanding that all truly is well. Thank you everyone for being here and for submitting your questions. If you have a question, feel free to leave it in the comments section to this episode or email me. I'll post my email in the description to this episode. You can also leave a voice message. I'll post a link to the voice message app in the description as well. And again, thank you so much for being here, for listening in, and for all of your support. This podcast can now be found on all podcast platforms. Listen and subscribe on Apple iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, Breaker, and YouTube. I'll see you in the next episode, and remember that all is truly well. Oneness, love, and peace be with you.